Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex here. Today we are here with a brand new video. Today we are going to be talking about the Malaysian Grand Prix, so there will be spoilers in this video. So if you don't want to have any spoilers, click away now, come back after you watch the Malaysian Grand Prix, and hopefully this video will be a lot more interesting and entertaining. So anyway, we're going to be talking about the Malaysian Grand Prix, and I want to start off with the start, obviously. So it wasn't a particularly great start for Nico Rosberg on second place on the grid. He went to slot in behind Lewis Hamilton in the run down to turn one. Then he sort of jinked, sort of left on the track, and he sort of exposed himself to a bit of a possibility of cars overtaking behind. So basically Vettel and Verstappen both looking to go down the inside at this point here, and this is the part where a lot of people are going to have different opinions, and I'm going to sit on the fence on this one because I haven't been able to see loads and loads of replays of it. But it looked down to turn one that Vettel and Verstappen made contact, but then later review it didn't look like there was actually contact, the Sky people said. So very interesting to see that. And then it meant that Rosberg was hit and he spun around. So Vettel got big damage, and that meant he had to retire from the race, and Rosberg got, well, he spun around, obviously spun up his wheels and got away in 21st place, obviously only ahead of Sebastian Vettel, who just went on to retire. So what do you guys think about that one in terms of that? I don't think Rosberg, I think, to be perfectly honest, Rosberg was the innocent party, really. He was sort of minding his own business and sort of got hit, but then at the same time, I still think he could have maybe defended a bit more there. But yeah, bit of an innocent party. What do you guys think? Vettel or Verstappen, or is it a racing incident? As I said, I haven't seen loads of replays, so I can't really give my honest opinion on that. So yeah, Sky saying that Verstappen hit Vettel at first, but then a later review looks like Vettel didn't really do anything wrong. So it's tough. Leave your comments down below on that one. That's a very interesting topic. Next up, it was Rosberg, obviously fighting back through the field. That was the most interesting point of the next few laps. He was up to 10th position, back into the points by lap number 10, which is quite incredible. Great fight back through from Rosberg. He knows at this point the championship is on the line. He needs to get back every single position he can. So Rosberg, in my opinion, drove a really good race to get back up to P10. Obviously, though, they had the best car, so it's pretty likely that was going to happen. But then Grosjean had this big brake failure, which meant that he was, I think it was the last corner, wasn't it? He just went straight on, and that ended up sort of causing a virtual safety car. Sorry, I've got my notes here. I want to make sure that I get everything right here. So he had a brake failure, meaning that some people, including Verstappen and Rosberg, both came into the pit, and this actually, was nearly a pivotal move in the race for Verstappen. It gave him quite a big advantage on the other two cars, meaning that basically once the other two cars are pitted, who were in front, which were Hamilton and Ricciardo, they would have come out behind him. So basically at this point, Verstappen was net leading the race, which is pretty impressive considering at that point he wasn't looking like he had the pace to beat Hamilton, and he was faster than Ricciardo in my opinion at this point of the race, but I don't think he really had the pace to really beat Hamilton. So after that, Hamilton pitted on lap number 21, and he actually came out behind Sebastian Vettel. So that's quite a lot, quite a lot. Sorry, what am I talking about? I'm reading my notes here. He came out behind Verstappen, and I think it was like 8 seconds. I think I've got down here as my notes. 8 seconds was the gap between Hamilton and Vettel. So that's quite a big gap, even for the Mercedes to close down. That's quite a big gap. So pretty interesting stuff there. But then about 6 laps later, Verstappen decided to go into the pits here because his tyres are wearing down very quickly. So he decided to come into the pits on lap number 27 and switch over to those another set of hard compound tyres. So that puts him back down to P3 behind his teammate Ricciardo and Hamilton, who's now got a pretty big lead at the lead of the race. But then we had Rosberg still fighting through the field at this point, and I was really impressed with Rosberg today. I mean, obviously, it would have been a much better race for him personally if he'd started at the front. He hadn't made a mistake. But in all honesty, I think it was a really good test of character for Rosberg today to fight back through the field. He had the pace. He showed that he was quick. And today, I think he drove a very, very good race. Probably not the best driver on the grid. I still feel there are a couple of other guys that did better, which we'll get onto later. But I think Rosberg showing that he does, if everything goes his way, I think he does deserve a championship. Whether it's this year or not, who knows, but it's looking quite likely at this point now that the Rosberg has a very strong chance going to the last couple of races. So Verstappen into the pits, back down to P3. Then we had, as I said, Rosberg coming through the field. He had made a really, well, what some people say a very good move on Raikkonen, others will say a very clumsy move on Raikkonen, and it's up to debate. In my opinion, he should have gone for the move on that lap, but probably not at that time, because he probably could have waited a little bit later on in that lap. It wouldn't have affected his race in any way if they just waited until the end of that lap to just do him under DRS. It was a bit of a risky move, but then I suppose we want to see drivers go for overtakes, but Raikkonen would have not expected that whatsoever. So a bit of a dodgy overtake, I suppose you can say. And personally, not that corner, Nico. But it was an interesting move to see him go for it. I mean, he has been caught up in a couple of incidents like that this year, hasn't he? Where he's gone for moves that don't really exist. So there we go. What do you guys think on that? I'm assuming most of you guys sort of agree with that one. It's a bit of a clumsy move and probably could have just waited towards the end of the lap to go for it. Then we had a great battle with Verstappen and Ricciardo. Ricciardo on older tyres was trying to defend from Verstappen, who's pitted obviously now at this point, and he's charging through. And I've got to say, this is some of the best wheel-to-wheel racing I've seen so far this year, and it's between teammates. They have the same machinery. It's basically who is the better driver, and it was really, really close stuff. And I was really happy to see that Ricciardo on those older tyres, I know we get to this point where team orders, they're legal now in Formula 1, and a lot of people have different opinions on whether they should be legal or not, but no team orders from Red Bull that we heard, which was pretty good. Obviously, Verstappen coming over the radio saying, please get him out of the way, I want to win this race. But Ricciardo holding firm here, and he's keeping the lead of this race. Sorry, not the lead of this race, he's keeping second position, and he's keeping, you know, who might be the eventual challenger for this race victory in Verstappen behind him here, because it was a really good battle, quite a lot of close racing. Was Verstappen going to lift off? Was Ricciardo going to lift off? It was really, really close. If you haven't seen that in particular, go back and rewatch it. That was incredible, honestly. So much respect between those two guys, and my respect level for both of those guys now has gone up because of how close they can race wheel to wheel. Then Hamilton, it all was looking so great. He was dominating this race, and he was basically building up a gap to be able to pit and still come out ahead of both of those Red Bulls. And the fact that they were fighting meant that he was going to come out ahead of them. So Hamilton on lap number 41, or I think it was going on to lap 41, or just starting lap 41. I don't really know, but I can't remember now. I've got it down my notes as lap 41. Hamilton's engine down the main straight catches fire, and it just goes kaput. And does his World Championship go with that? What do you guys think? I mean, the gap went up to Rosberg now. Obviously, Rosberg, if he had not spun at the start of this race, if it maybe left a bit more room at the start, he would have most likely got the race victory here. But luckily for Hamilton, I suppose, he can take one pinch of salt out of this, that Hamilton doesn't go away losing 25 points to Rosberg. He only loses, 15, which we'll get onto in a second. But yeah, Rosberg didn't win today, which means that Hamilton still has a somewhat chance. I mean, Rosberg can retire from one Grand Prix, and Hamilton would, when Hamilton went on to win, he'd win or go into the lead of the championship. So it's not over for Hamilton yet. Obviously, he's gutted. My heart sort of dropped for Hamilton at this point. I was like, wow, he has had a lot of bad luck this year. I don't really support Lewis Hamilton in a way, but my sort of I don't know what the right word is here to make it sound weird, but my sort of heart dropped for him at that point. I was like, he's been so unlucky this year, so many engine problems and so many problems in general. I really was gutted for him at that point. I want to see a sort of a close battle for the championship, but both be on equal terms. And honestly, I was really gutted at that point, because I thought that the championship was going to be, all swings and roundabouts at this point. It was going to be really close for the lead of the championship. But now Hamilton having his engine problem means that he's now quite far behind in the championship. So Hamilton having that fire, and then basically went under virtual safety car, and Gutierrez, I think his brake exploded or something. I'm not too sure as I'm recording this, no confirmed info on that, but it's like his brake exploded, and yeah, Raikkonen was following. You just see the brake explode, and then his wheels roll off down the track. Very dangerous stuff there. Hopefully they get that sorted out. Hopefully they find out what actually was the problem there, because we don't want to see that ever happen again. Maybe if it was overheating brakes, I suppose we can understand it's going to happen in Formula 1. So that was interesting. Then we had both Red Bulls, whilst under the virtual safety car, coming to the pits at the same time, as does Rosberg and most of the other cars behind, meaning that they all basically get a free pit stop. Red Bull double stacked their cars. They didn't go for the risk whether one of them would stay out or not, so they decided to both cars at the same time. And I think at this point Verstappen knew it was going to be very, very tough to overtake Ricciardo to win this race. So very, very interesting. They come out of the pits. I think there's like 3 or 4 seconds between them, and Ricciardo, he wasn't quite as quick as Verstappen towards the end of this race here, but Verstappen kept plugging away but didn't quite manage to do it. And for me personally, this is basically a win for Ricciardo that he probably should have got in Spain. When the team messed up in Spain, Verstappen got the victory. So maybe it's the other way around today. The team slightly messed up Verstappen's strategy here, and now Ricciardo gets the win because of it. So what do you guys think? Personally, for me, I think Verstappen probably was a little bit quicker today, and probably in sort of pure speed, he probably deserved to win over Ricciardo. But Ricciardo's racecraft and the fact that he kept him behind, I think that was really good for Ricciardo, and I think he deserved it in terms of that. He definitely put up the fight, which, you know, made him deserve the race win. So very, very interesting race, guys. It meant a lot for the championship. Also, a big shout out to Julian Palmer, who got his first points in Formula 1. I'm really happy for him for that, and hopefully that maybe looks the Renault guys like, yeah, maybe for next season, we'll see. But yeah, he hasn't had a great season apart from that, so you know, it's not going to be based on one race, whether he's in F1 next year. So what do you guys think? It was an interesting podium. I listened to the podium on the radio, so yeah, I heard that they were drinking the champagne out of the shoes, and yeah, I haven't seen that yet, but they sound pretty weird. So what do you guys think of the race in general? Obviously, Rosberg now goes into the next race with a 23-point lead, I think it is, in the championship. Very, very interesting to see what happens there. So yeah, leave your comments down below what you think about this race, guys. Has it been an interesting one for the championship for you guys or not? Let me know in the comment section down below. Until next time, it's been Agsmad here. Goodbye.